Hello everyone, welcome back. Ready? Compile it if you want to see the default value. Just be a window, it could be
create a push a single space forwards. So let's get started. Okay, so to get started with our pushable block, there's a few things that we have to decide upon, and that's the design of the pushable block. So what can it do, what can't it do, essentially. So we're going to start off by creating the block actor itself, so you can see what I mean by this. So bring in an actor. Here, and we'll of course run a pushable object. It do essentially. So we're going to start off by creating the block actor itself, so you can see what I mean by this. So bring in an actor here, and we'll of course run a pushable object, and in this pushable object, we're just going to give it a cube object here, and I'll make it fairly big. bigger, make it twice the size. We'll do 2 by 2 by 2. And I'm just going to compile that and rise that off the ground actually as well. Compile that, there you go. So what I mean by rules is we need to decide upon the following factors whenever you come up with a system. And it's very important because depending on what your rules are, what you do to make this work is going to be very different. So we'll go through the different options you've got to consider, and we'll go through what I am going to be doing over the course of these videos. So when you come across to a block, let's imagine the player start is us. When we go to push the block, can we only push it or can we push and pull it? So if I'm pushing it this way, that's fine. But can I push it? Can I pull it to the left and pull it right? And also we push and pull it. So if I'm pushing it this way, that's fine. But can I push it? Can I pull it to the left and pull it right and also pull it back? That's important to know. For purpose of this, we're going to make it so you can only push to the way you're going. You can only push the block. You can't pull it. So that's what we'll be focusing on there. For purpose of this, we're going to make it so you can only push to the way you're going. You can only push the block. You can't pull it. So that's what we'll be focusing on there. The next rule is when you push it, is it free-form pushing or is it grid-based? So what I mean by grid-based is that if I change this stat here to 100, if I was to push it, it would go at 100 at a time as I'm pushing it. So if I was to let go halfway between 2 points, it would carry on going until it reached the next point. I'm going to be doing that method. It's the most common method you see in lots of games because it makes it easier for the player to line up objects that they're pushing around. So it just makes sense. And the other condition you have to think about as well is whether or not there is a limit to how far you can push your block. Do you want this block to be limited by an area, by a spline, by how far it can go? Do you want it to be just freeform? You can drag it anywhere you want, or push it anywhere you like inside the area. Totally up to you how you want to handle that. That one in particular, we could probably tweak as we can later on. But right now, we're going to make it so you can push it wherever you want, as long as you're able to. So with our block here, we are going to, I'm just going to snap it here to a good space, like so. I'm going to make it so I can push it 100 units at a time. So go to each grid space, basically, to line it up. Now, for the purpose of this, I've also brought in some animations. You don't have to worry about this if you haven't got animations. You can do it without animations, but obviously it looks better if you do. So I've got the heavy push, heavy idle, loop, and start. We've got those in there as so. So to make this work, we need to know when the player is A, next to the block, and B, is trying to attempt to push the block. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a hit event. So when we hit the block, i.e. we walk into it, we can know which way we're facing. So we can go to edit pushable block here. And we're going to do a hit event. And on the hits event, we can return from here the direction our player is facing. So if I drag out there and do print string, I can get the other actor here, and I can get their forward vector. So this will tell me which way my player was facing. So let's go. Go up to here when I hit it. So, bam, I was hitting roughly 1 in X. Go this way, roughly 1 in Y, roughly -1 in Y, and roughly, well, and -1 in X there. So, as you can see, the numbers there aren't exactly what we want them to be. We need to make them cardinal. In other words, you can only move up, down, left, and right, north, south, east, or west with the block. So that's important to note because we want to make sure we're rounding that up there. We don't want to take into account of things like this when I'm skimming it along. We don't want to take notes of that. We just want to make it so that when we hit the block, we are getting a number that's close to 1, in at least one of those areas. So if I go to the block now and take this active forward vector, I need to know and round this up to 1, essentially, if it's close enough to 1. So let's take this and we're going to break it open to get the X, Y, and the Z. And I'm going to round these values up or down based upon what they are. So if they're 0.5 or higher, it becomes 1. 0.5, or if it's lower than 0.5, it goes to 0. Okay, you can either do that, or you can say nearly equal to, and you can do it this way round if you want, but it's easier in this case to do rounding. Okay, so we're going to do rounding for each one of these axes. And I'm going to make another vector with this. So let's plug that in. There, there, there. And for testing purposes, I'm going to print string this new value. This will give us the more cardinal direction, hopefully, that we're moving in. So we go 1. You see it's rounded 1 there to on the X to 1, and 0, 0 to the other two. If I go to this side, there, there. And for testing purposes, I'm going to print string this new value. This will give us the more cardinal direction, hopefully, that we're moving in. So we go 1. You see it's rounded 1 there to on the X to 1, and 0, 0 to the other two. If I go to this side, -1, this side 1, and go to this side.
tutorial.
Side -1. Now, the thing that this doesn't work on is if I'm walking backwards into it. So this is not a problem with my mechanic character. If you want the pushable direction. Okay, so before we do that though, let's just store this vector here as the pushable direction. So promote that to a variable. Store this vector here as the pushable direction. So promote that to a variable. And we'll do pushable direction. And we'll put that in like so. So let's now work out if we can push. So we can go to functions here and do can push. And this is going to do a line trace. We can do two line traces actually. In fact, we're going to do a line trace for the player, make sure that they are actually facing the block, and also going to do another line trace to see if the block is being blocked by another object. But let's first of all just make our character one. So we're going to do a line trace by channel. Oh, not multi. Let's do it again. Line trace by channel, and plug that in. The start position will be our get player character, and we want to get their actor location. Get actor location, and we're going to plug that into the start there. Next, we want to get their forward vector. So get forward and we'll do actor forward vector, and we're going to multiply this by a certain distance. And we'll do convert that to a float. We'll do a fairly short one. We'll do like 100. But you can tweak that if you wish, and we're just going to add that together to start position there. So we can do that into the end there. Okay, so that's going to do a line trace out for the player. And if this is true, I want to check that it's hitting this. Okay, so let's do this into a branch. And we'll make sure the player value here, hit result. Is hitting us. Okay, so hit of actor, we'll make sure it's equal to this pushable block, so self. And we're just going to hide the rest of this. Don't need all of it. We just want to do this and put that into that check there. Into a branch there. Now, before we carry on, it's a good idea to go back to this and turn off ignore self. We want the line trace to trigger with this object in mind in particular. So we want to turn that off for that. Excellent. Okay, so that's that. We also, an active to ignore. We want to make an array for this, and we want to plug the player character into that array there. And we want to plug the player character into that array there. Okay, that's it. Right. So that's going to do the first trace to make sure that we can actually push. Okay, so let's just do a return node for now, and we'll come back to this later on when we add more conditions for this to push. So if it's true, we're going to add an output saying can push. To be true. Okay. And if it's false, we'll turn that off there and turn it off here. Okay, so either way, it's returning true or false. So back in my event graph, event here, we are now going to start pushing our character against this block. Now, to do that, we need to basically attach our character to the block and do a lot of other settings to it as well. So the thing I'm going to do here, first of all, is do the can push. Function in, and we'll put that into a branch. like so. And if it's true, this is when we do all of our stuff to attach the player. So first of all, we want to get the player character that's attached to this. So get player character. And we want to first before actually we do any of that, let's go back to the hit here. Just make sure that the other actor is actually the player character. So just do equals 2. Other. And put that into a branch. You don't want to be like throwing stones at it and making it make us go into pushing mode. We only want to do it if it's the player character bumping into it. Anyway, so back on here, on can push on true here. So we're going to do get player character. So the first thing we're going to do with the player character is we are going to tell them to disable movement. Okay, so we're going to do disable movement. So we can no longer move. We then want to attach our character to this actor. So attach actor to actor. And this is the target actor. The parent actor will be self. So it attaches it to the block. And the location rule, rotation rule, and scale rule want to attach our character to this actor. So attach actor to actor. And this is the target actor. The parent actor will be self. So it attaches it to the block. And the location rule, rotation rule, and scale rule will keep that as keep world, keep world, keep world. Okay. So let's go to snap our character to the block when we bump into it. So let's test that out and make sure that is working as intended. So push, and I can no longer move at all. Okay, I'm locked to it. Okay, excellent. That's what we want. So next thing. and make sure to snap our character to the block when we bump into it. So let's test that out. So keep world, keep world. Okay. So let's go into snap our character to the block. Okay. So let's go into snap our character to the block when we bump into it. So let's test that out and make sure that is working as intended. So push, and I can no longer move at all.
Hello, everyone.